Finally, a good primetime game, ladies and gentlemen. I forgot what it was like to watch a primetime game that did not have Zach Wilson, that did not have Kenny Pickett, that did not have a quarterback that should not be in the NFL. But now we can go through and we can talk about what happened tonight and the fantasy implications from it. Starting off with the Chiefs, I wrote this down because it's a very interesting stat that they said at the very end of the game. Obviously, you had multiple drops at the end of the game after drops all game from this Chiefs offense. You can make an argument that MVS lost. We don't even need to go down that road, but 26 drops for Kansas City Chiefs players. The most in the NFL. Clearly it lost them this week. Just absolute brutal spot. If we're looking at the underlying usage, Isaiah Pacheco, workhorse back, 19 carries. Compare this to CEH, 2. Jarrett McKinnon, 1. Pacheco almost has everything here. Going over to what we have with the running back usage as receivers, you have Isaiah Pacheco with 1 target out of the backfield, Jarrett McKinnon with 3. So Pacheco is still going to be that mid RB2 that we can comfortably rely upon. I understand today wasn't a phenomenal day if you're just looking at the raw fantasy points. Really tough matchup against good Eagles defense, right? Now, going over to Mahomes, we don't really need to talk about Mahomes. I mean, Mahomes still going to be someone that we're starting every single week in fantasy. Tough weather, tough matchup, single game. We know Mahomes is elite in fantasy. Don't overreact. Going over to the receivers, Justin Watson sees 11 targets. Kind of unbelievable here. I mean, you get that type of volume. He potentially had a big play at the very end of the game that he dropped as well. Now, if we're looking at the amount of players to touch the ball here, this is why I am still not interested in anybody outside of Travis Kelce in this offense. You have Pacheco, CEH, Kadarius Toney, Jarrett McKinnon, all running the ball. And receiving, you have Justin Watson, Travis Kelce, Rashee Rice, McCole Hardman, Kadarius Toney, Jarrett McKinnon, Sky Moore, Isaiah Pacheco, MVS, Noah Gray. So while yes, over and over and over again, people chase this Chiefs offense because on paper, this ceiling is phenomenal with how good Mahomes is. The reality of the situation is, well, of course, there's a lot of passing volume to typically go around when you have Mahomes. They spread the ball out so much that from a fantasy perspective, will be difficult to rely on anybody consistently. Justin Watson with 11 targets, though, is definitely noteworthy. And Rashee Rice gets 5 as well. Pretty much typical Rashee Rice stat line, 4 receptions, 42 receiving yards, sending up a prayer. He scores touchdown. Y'all know my favorite pick'em on Underdog this week was Rashee Rice for fewer receptions than Devonta Smith, even if you were getting the extra half a reception on the right side. The reason being is if we look at the historical splits with and without Dallas Goedert for Devonta Smith, Smith is significantly better without Goddard in this offense. You see it yet again this week. 8 targets, 99 receiving yards with 6 receptions. It would have been beautiful if we had the receiving touchdown, but in reality, there just wasn't a lot of passing volume to go around in this offense. Weather wasn't great, tough matchup. I mean, you have 155 passing yards for Jalen Hurts and the interception, no passing touchdowns. So, yeah, I mean, the receiving options in this offense, not really going to do you anything. A.J. Brown, 8 receiving yards. I am sure, I haven't had the chance to see people in the live chat as of yet, but I'm sure there are people that were coming into this game going, oh, okay, I only need 4 points from A.J. Brown to win my matchup. I'm golden. And then A.J. Brown goes out and gets you 1.8. Absolutely brutal. Outside of that, nothing really matters. You still start Smith every single week. You still start A.J. Brown every week. That doesn't change anything. And then DeAndre Swift, full bell cow roll. 12 carries in comparison to Boston Scott at 2. Comparison to Kenneth Gainwell at 1. And then with DeAndre Swift, he's also the running back that sees the 3 targets out of the backfield. So you are still starting DeAndre Swift each and every week, ladies and gentlemen. But I think that should be about it. Recap, you're still starting Jalen Hurts. You're still starting DeAndre Swift, Devonta Smith, and A.J. Brown. Hopefully y'all believe us with Smith being much better now that you have no Dallas Goedert. And then also in the case of the Chiefs side, you could possibly pick up Justin Watson off waivers and see if this volume continues. It's hard to imagine it with how much they spread the ball around. Travis Kelce still must-start guy. Pacheco is still someone you're starting. And you're still starting Mahomes every single week. And obviously not overreacting based off of one performance. And we are going to be firing MVS into the sun as well, just in case you were wondering. But I think that should be about it for the game. Let me go ahead and pull up the questions. And as I do this, if you have not done so already, ladies and gentlemen, please go down there, drop a like on this stream. Subscribe to the channel if you play fantasy football. Today is day 207 of live streaming every single day in a row. We're going until 2024. And if you wanted to check out any of those pick'ems over on Underdog Fantasy for this week, I think they're going to be doing some additional special pick'ems for the Thursday Thanksgiving games. But nonetheless, I know for a damn fact you're going to get that CMC special pick'em more than less than half a total yard with code FLOCK and a 100% deposit match promo code FLOCK plus our rest of season rankings and tiers. But let's go ahead and let's dive into Henry's question saying Herbert, Eckler, Bijan, Mixon, Ramondre, Warren, Laporta, Kincaid, Garrett Wilson, DK, Thielen, JSN. Got offered Jalen Hurts, Devonta Smith for Herbert, Laporta, Warren, or Ramondre. So going from Laporta to Devonta Smith, probably give me Smith in a double flex league where we have Dalton, Kincaid at the same time. Going from Herbert to Jalen Hurts, give me Jalen Hurts given the rushing upside. We're paying Jalen Warren to get it done. So yes, sir, I would go ahead and I would make that move. Austin says 14 team at BBR now 9-2. We have Dak, Lamb, Chase, Jefferson, JT, Brees, Etienne, HN, Kelsey, Debo, Foreman. Should we trade for CMC and Glory with this depth or ride it out? I mean, so if we're going to get Jefferson back in, I mean, you are in a very nice spot. What I would say is if you wanted to make a trade for CMC, if you wanted to try to use the name appeal of Jamar Chase, like if you could send Chase and Brees Hall, that'd be an absolute no-brainer. I will say, I mean, it's probably going to cost a little more than that, and I'd be a little bit more hesitant to just give up a ton of depth with it being a 14-team league. Obviously, phenomenal team, though. Now, Ethan says 8-team, 7-4. We have Eckler, Barkley, Swift, Hall, Chase, Lamb, Debo, Collins, Dell, Ferguson, Kyron, Singletary. We lost Andrews. Should we trade Chase and Barkley, and for who? In what other moves? 8-team league, this would be an example. If I can move on from Chase and Barkley and get to CMC, I would do that because it's an 8-team league. And then outside of that, I mean, with Chase, I'm just viewing him as like Devontae Adams going forward. I just think you have to reset your expectations. With Saquon Barkley, if you wanted to see if we can sell him high after this week, this offense is still going to be very bad. So if you wanted to go through and see if you could package together like Devin Singletary and Saquon Barkley to pivot over to Jonathan Taylor, I wouldn't fault you for that, my friend. Now, Samuel says 12-team full BBR 4-7. We have Fields, Javonte, Kyron, Devonta, T, Kelsey, Godwin. And then on the bench, Foreman, Ridley, Shaheed, JSN, Deontay. Traded Walker for Devonta Smith and Chris Godwin. Any other moves? Not necessarily. I understand the trade considering a 4-7 and we need points right this second. I would say, however, now that at this point we make the move for those two receivers, probably want to be dropping Shaheed, picking up a running back off waivers. Michael says, depending on how practices go, would you start Kyron over Javonte this week? I would say probably not this week. Good matchup for Kyron. I believe he's going up against the Arizona Cardinals. Actually, Javonte's going up against Cleveland. So yes, I would go Kyron Williams. And then also start Ridley or Sutton if Jefferson's out. I think I'm probably going to go ahead. I will probably take Calvin Ridley. But I have an entire video coming out about both guys tomorrow. I think we can dive into it much more in depth there for you, my friend. And I'll say real quick as a side note for these underdog pick'ems on Thursday, one thing that I really do like here is I was looking at Brock Purdy to not have an interception. The reason being is you're playing against Seattle that is going to be decimated with injuries. Like an 8-point favorite. You have all your weapons back in. I think that this is an offense that can afford to be a little bit more conservative. I don't see Brock Purdy getting up to a crazy amount of passing attempts in the game. Now, Sauce says 10 TPBR, 8-3. We lost Andrews. Guys, Laporta, Kittle, McBride, any trade ideas? We have Hurts, CMC, ETN, AJ Brown, Ayuk, Puka, Taysom, Walker, Charbonnet, Chuba, London, Downs, Gabe, Kyler. I'd love to send him Kyler and Taysom and go get, Laporta, go get Kittle. I think that'd be a no-brainer. When we have Hurts, we can still start him every single week, regardless of matchup, based off his rushing upside. The interesting thing with George Kittle is if you go through and look at the historical splits with and without Deebo Samuel, the man's not that good with Deebo in. But it almost doesn't matter. He's just continuing to go out and crush it regardless. Now, JJ says 12-team double flex PPR 6-5. We have Howell, Singletary, Charbonnet, Jacobs, Connor, AJ Brown, Keenan, Evans, Higgins, Watson, Goddard, Hill, Auden. Any moves to improve the team? We're going to drop Cade Otton, and then the thing is you can't roster 3 tight ends. Unless Dallas Goedert's on your IR, but he's not on the actual IR, so I don't know if we can put him there. I would say drop Otton, go pick up another quarterback. That way we can play the matchups between Sam Howell and another QB. I don't really see any other trades that makes a ton of sense here with this being a double flex league as well. I don't know. I think you probably want to hold on to that depth. Jacob says, do you think Mahomes misses Tyreek yet? I'm sure that he misses Tyreek. But the thing is, you also have Mahomes with the best defense, or arguably the best defense of his entire NFL career, right? So it's like, oh, okay, well, you got to spend the money somewhere. I'm sure it would be nice to just have a baseline, some talent at wide receiver. Like, you may not necessarily need Tyreek Hill, but you need someone. It would have been beautiful if they found a way to make it work for Hopkins, make it work for Evans, make it work for someone. Here, I'm going to turn on the fan. We are 1 like away from hitting 200 likes. So drop that like, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Let's go ahead, and Scar Shiesty says, what are your thoughts? We have Lawrence, Goff, Brees, Bijan, Gibbs, Lamb, Moore, Tank, Ingram, McBride. Make any moves or just chill. Standard scoring. Feeling pretty good right now. Yeah, great team overall. I don't necessarily think you need to do anything here, my friend. I think that you probably are just sitting on your hands. If it's, when you say a standard scoring, if it's a non-PPR format, maybe we throw Gibbs out there on the trade block and see if we can get some massive return. Full PPR league, though, I think you're chilling. Joseph says, just throwing a super chat for the Amazing Vice 10-1, baby. Congrats, my man. Really, really happy for you. So she says, Devontae Adams or Devonta Smith rest of season. Probably still prefer Adams with the target volume. Justice says, needed 23 from Hurts, 9-2. Hurts, Walker, Hall, Tyreek, Lamb, Amon-Ra, Hawkinson, Kyron, Charbonnet isn't available, and the owner won't trade. Would you start Gus or Kyron? If it is a non-PPR format, we're going to go ahead. We're going to go with the hot hand. We'll just play Gus Edwards and send up a prayer to get that touchdown. In a full PPR format, I would just go ahead and I would just play Kyron Williams. Should be good to go. And at the same time, you'd have a pretty damn good matchup going up against the Arizona Cardinals here. Pretty good matchup. Omar says, hey, Mason, needed AJ to score 7 tonight to keep my 9-win streak going. Tough loss. If you had 9 wins in a row, I think that you can afford to take an L here. How about this? How about we just tell ourselves that those points that AJ Brown would have scored tonight, he's just going to score in the fantasy football playoffs, my friend. You save some of his points and send him over for the playoffs. Mason says, traded Laporta, Keaton Mitchell, DJ Moore for Dell and Jacobs. So Keaton Mitchell, no value. Going from DJ Moore to Dell, lateral move. Laporta to Jacobs, probably an upgrade. We have Mahomes, Kyler, Lamb, Cup, Dell, Downs, Jason, Hall, Taylor, Jacobs, Chandler, McBride, and Thomas. If you have Mahomes and Kyler, you can send Kyler if you wanted to go get a viable wide receiver upgrade. Like if you wanted to send Kyler and Dell and try to go get to an elite level wide receiver, maybe that's something you could try for. Or Kyler and Jacobs to go try to get a great running back. But I mean, solid team. Logan says 12-team PPR. We have Tua, Brees, JT, Chase, Kupp, Jefferson, Watson, Dobbs, Dowdle, Purdy, Howell, Taysom, Michael Wilson, Chris Rodriguez. My depth is garbage, and I'm worried. What are your thoughts? I agree with you. Your depth is garbage. Very much is. Kupp injury is going to be a little bit of a tough one here, my friend. If you are in a position where you say are 5-6, 4-7, and you need a win right this second, you honestly probably have to go through and just sell Kupp, sell Jefferson, sell them in a 1-for-2 deal. That way we can have some startable players in right now. However, if you're 7-4 and we are pretty much locked for the fantasy football playoffs, I think that there we would probably be a little more likely to go ahead and I don't know. I would rather just work the waiver wire and see if we can naturally get it sorted out ourselves, my friend. Tall Guy says, is Justin Watson the Chiefs' #1 wide receiver, and should we care? I mean, if you're looking at it, I would still say Rashee Rice is probably the guy that I would want, but he does have 11 targets, right? So I don't know if we're overreacting to what we just have this week, but he's worth a roster spot. I'm not starting him anytime soon, I'll tell you that. But if he has another week, I mean, say next week he has 12 targets again, then yeah, I definitely think we can look at him. Sean says, longtime viewer, first-time chatter. Thank you so much, my friend. Currently in 5th place overall in best ball regular season. Oh my gosh. My man. That is nuts. If y'all don't know, Underdog Best Ball Mania is what we draft in all off season. Every single day on the live stream. Sean, hopefully you did this with us on a stream or something along the lines. What is the prize pool for 5th place? If you get 1st place, you win $1 million. 1st place is $1 million. What is, I mean, 5th is still going to be a pretty penny, right? Obviously, there's a lot of time left here, my friend, but fifth is $100K. 4th, 125. 3rd, 150. 2nd, 200. No, I'm sorry. 1st place is 500,000. But still. Can everybody spam the chat? Good luck, Sean. My man, if you win the regular season tournament and win that 500K, you better come on the live stream. We better party. That is awesome. Mike says 8-3, 12-team tight end premium. We have Herbert, Fields, CMC, Eckler, JT, HN, AJ Brown, Kupp, Olave, Noah Brown, Kittle, Laporta. Trade deadline's done, but I'm worried about my receivers rest of season. Appreciate you in the chat. Appreciate you, my friend. I think you're in a phenomenal spot. It's an 8-3 team where you have to start 2 tight ends, and we're rolling out Kittle and Laporta. We're just going to be crushing. We have AJ Brown and Olave that we can start every single week. We have a running back we can throw in the flex spot. We can work wide receivers off waivers. I think you're in a very comfortable position, and obviously just hoping that Kupp is good to go. Kobe says, is Kyron startable if he's activated? I would say yeah, in a good matchup. Also, is Tank Dell a sell high? Trying to get Hawkinson with Dell in a package or replace for Andrews. I'd probably rather have Hawkinson over Dell, but with that being said, I'm not going to have the stones to go out there and say Tank Dell is a sell high because he hasn't been dominating in targets in Houston overall. Now, Hogan says, and I'll let y'all know this. I mean, we talked about this actually on Twitter. I just sent out a little tweet to get people triggered, of course. But I tweeted out essentially, and I want to see what your thoughts are on this on YouTube. I feel like the YouTube audience is typically a little bit more realistic than what you find on Twitter. But I said that the Houston Texans were great because of CJ Stroud. And CJ Stroud was the reason that they were having success. And he was doing so despite a subpar group of guys around him. I said Tank Dell's really fun, But overall, the combination of Tank Dell, Nico Collins, Dalton Schultz, and Devin Singletary, I do not think that is an above average. I wouldn't even call it an average. I would call it, I went through and did the own rankings in my head about the 21st, 22nd best group of guys if you were trying to draft just an overall team set of weapons. But let me know, how bad of a take is that? If you had to rank the Houston Texans skill positional guys, and excluding Stroud, I'm saying you're playing a team on Madden, you're building a team, right? You have Tank Dell, Nico Collins, Dalton Schultz, Devin Singletary. Are they higher than about 21? Because that's where I got them. I got them about 21st, which is below average. But I don't know. Everybody on Twitter acted like I was the dumbest person on the planet to say it. But, of course, that is Twitter. That is Twitter. Now, Zach says, Happy BR 8-team league. And let me go back to this. Let me spend a little more time on this because I think it's a fun talk. Because I think that people also go through, and I see people in the chat saying Tank Dell's above average. I think people in the chat have a very hard time understanding what average is, right? An average wide receiver 1 means you're the 16th best receiver in the NFL. People get very, emotional when it comes to I'm not below average. I'm not below average, But if you look at how averages work, 50% of wide receiver 1s are below average wide receivers. So if I went through and I tried to name wide receivers that I thought were more talented players than Tank Dell, I think I can get to more than 16. I could be wrong, though. They're all talented. They're all very, very good. They're better. Tank Dell's better at the game of football than I am at anything in the world. But is he better than T. Higgins from a talent perspective? I don't know. Now, Hogan says 4-7. Kelsey facepalm. Barely lost by 2.5. He had Gibb, Hill, Keenan. Early waiver wire target. What to do with Aaron Jones, Reynolds, Pickens. Playoffs from here. Any trade. Appreciate you, my friends. If I'm looking at this, if you are 4-7, you sell Aaron Jones for legitimately anything you could get. We're going to go ahead. Reynolds literally just cut him. Who cares? I would love to go out there and pick up someone that's going to be viable in the short term. I'd love going getting Zach Charbonnet. No idea how Zach Charbonnet is still available in leagues. Only rostered in 44% of leagues currently. So, I'll drop Reynolds. Aaron Jones, maybe you can squeeze out a little bit of value for him in a trade, but you need to go out there and sell him for anything that you can get that's going to give us points right now. Now, Zach says, Happy BR 8-team league. AJ Lamb, Amon-Ra, Nico, Etienne, JT, Bijan Swift, Hurts, and Hawkinson. Thinking about trading Amon-Ra and Swift for Tyreek or going for Eckler. What do you think? 8-team league, let's go get Tyreek. Eckler, honestly, probably not. The issue with Eckler is the only reason you to go after him in the first place is a receiving role. Here it's Happy BR format. Second thing is he's not really catching the ball as much as you would like. So, I'm going to go ahead. I'm just going to take Tyreek Hill. Give me the best player. 8-team league. Absolutely no-brainer. And says, any reason not to take a Mahomes Charbonnet for Jalen Hurts offer in the 20-team league? In that 20-team league where I know we need a running back, my friend, I would rather have Mahomes and Charbonnet. I would. Liam says, Wilson, HN, AJ Brown, 2 total points. It can't be worse. We can confidently say can't be worse here, my friend. Truman says 12-team BBR. Andrews just went down. Should we trade Etienne, Jones, Logan Thomas for Bijan, Swift, and Kincaid? Etienne to Bijan, downgrade. Jones to Swift, massive upgrade. Logan Thomas to Kincaid, upgrade. RB1's currently JT, flex currently Pittman. I think it is a very fair price point to go out and pick up a tight ends. I would say, definitely go see what tight ends you can get off the waiver wire, but if you can't find a tight end you like off waivers, you can go for that. Orlando says, redraft full BBR, trade my Ridley, Addison, and Stevenson for Bijan. We already have Jefferson, AJ, Adams, JSN, Etienne, HN, Singletary. If it is a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex league where I'm assuming that depth's not really going to matter here, then yes, sir, you can go ahead and make this play. I think you're probably overpaying just a bit, but considering Bijan Hoogamorance has the best fantasy football playoff schedule you can find, I'm fine with it. And we were 1 like away from 300 likes, ladies and gentlemen, so hit that like button if you haven't already. And Argriff Giant says, 12-team full BBR Superflex Dynasty. We have Saquon, Walker, HN, no depth behind those guys. Diggs, Tank, Kirk, Hollywood, Jaden Reed. Sitting at 6 and 5. Should I trade Eckler for Eckler or Tony Pollard? So the thing is, if you're trading for these running backs, you have to understand they will have significantly less value literally 2 months from now. I'd say less than that, but 6 weeks from now, these guys will be declining assets that you do not have nearly as much value as you would like. So if you think that going through and trading for Tony Pollard or Austin Eckler on the cheap is going to win you the league, then sure, you can go ahead and do it. But please understand the only reason you'd be doing that is to win the league right now, not for any type of long-term construction. That wouldn't matter in any way whatsoever. Now, Jovi says, 10-team BBR 8-3, tied for first. We have Lamar, Jacobs, Bijan, Hill, Ayuk, Hockenson, Addison. And then on the bench, Hollywood, Amari, London, Watson, Kyron, Jones, Chuba. Trade for another stud receiver or hold it down and play the matchups. Since we have this kind of depth, we have Kyron coming back in. I would try, like, if you could sell Amari and Ayuk and go up and get like a mid-wide receiver 1, then yeah, it can't hurt to send the offer and see what they say, right? Can't hurt to send the offer and make them reject you, but you're in the position of strength here. You don't have to do that. You can definitely just go ahead and play the matchups. So, I mean, I think it really does come down to what kind of price point would that legit wide receiver 1 cost you. Now, D. Larso says 12-team dynasty, now 5 and 6. Lost by 1.2 points last week to go from 3rd to 8th. Lost by 0.06 points this week to drop from 8th to that is absurd. I didn't even know that's possible. A 1.26 point swing moved us from 3rd to 10th place. I'm so damn sorry, my friend. Now, Minonor says, lost Burrow, waivers trash, traded Hockenson for Fields and McBride. Good move. It was the only offer I got before the deadline. How'd I do? Yeah, I think it's completely fine. If everybody's roster multiple quarterbacks and you were saying, yeah, nobody off waivers, I think you do it. Steven says 4 and 7, traded Kupp and Olave for A.J. Brown. Needed a move. Wide receiver, we still have Dell, Lockett, Devontae, and Reed. What are your thoughts? 4 and 7, we can't be sitting around waiting for Kupp to come back. So, yes, I think it makes sense. Now, Globes to the Dome says PBR, Mahomes, Goff, Mixon, Gibbs, Pacheco, White, Warren, Kupp, Lamb, Debo, London, Laporta, Kincaid, Dallas defense, 6 and 5 in 3rd place. Trade for Pittman or sit still. Third place, you do have a lot of flexibility. I mean, here you have so much running back depth where if you wanted to go ahead, if you wanted to send like Debo Samuel and Jalen Warren and go get a stud wide receiver, you could do it. I don't necessarily know if we're going to look to add Michael Pittman because Michael Pittman is kind of just in line with a lot of those other guys we're looking at. Tanner says 11-0, trade targets for DJ Moore and Rachaad White. If you're selling DJ Moore and Rachaad White, you need an elite level player in return. At this point, I mean, with how Rachaad White is catching the football, I mean, I would be looking at pretty much anybody inside the top 12-ish rankings on flogfantasy.com's community rankings. Let me go ahead and pull this up myself, my friend. Yeah, I mean, if you can go get like Stephon Diggs, I think that'd be a no-brainer. Maybe Jonathan Taylor as well. I mean, obviously, both guys are crushing. Now, Janelle says, 12-team PBR 6 and 5. Tua, Baker, Chase, Jefferson, Evans, Olave, Etienne, Jones, Walker, Foreman, Gus, Chandler, Ingram, Thomas. Got screwed with injuries this week. Advice in any moves. It's a single flex league. Yeah, I mean, this is tough. I don't even know what you can do. I would say drop Baker, go pick up a running back off waivers. The issue is if Jefferson's not coming back this week, it's not as simple as just going through and selling a wide receiver for a running back. Because we're going to need help at wide receiver as well, so that doesn't really do anything for us. Or you're probably instead sitting here and waiting and just hoping that some of these injuries are not as serious as they initially look. Curran says 5-5 in a double flex after tonight. Trade deadlines the 29th. Lamar, Bijan, Montgomery, Jefferson, Lamb, Higgins, Pacheco, Addison, James Cook, Warren, Ridley, Stroud, Flowers. I just need to keep winning. Any advice? We need Jefferson in. I mean, honestly, I don't necessarily think we're looking to do too much. If you really wanted to go through and sell David Montgomery, if it's in full PPR format, maybe you look to pivot from Montgomery to a running back that's going to catch the ball a little bit more. Especially as we get the continued continued Jahmyr Gibbs usage at the goal line. Another thing you could look to do is if you wanted to pivot off of, say, CJ Stroud and T. Higgins, and go see if we can get an elite level wide receiver, I think that'd be very interesting as well. Now, Brian says, I'm 9-2, lost Burrow with no quarterbacks on the bench. It's a 2-quarterback league. Lamar's QB1. Trade offer is Amari for Desmond Ridder. Another offer is Terry and Amari for Levis or Carr. Which should we take? Let me pull up exactly how bad Desmond Ridder has been this season. Because I'll be honest with you, I drafted Desmond Ridder in a few spots in Underdog Best Ball drafts just because I thought he had some rushing upside. Thought he was stepping into, a team with a lot of weapons. So, okay, he's probably bad. He's an 18th round quarterback, though. I mean, might as well throw the dart and see what happens. And the issue is he really hasn't been running the ball too much. I mean, he has 4 rushing touchdowns on the season, but only 150 rushing yards. 2 games with 300 passing yards. I don't know if we want to go for Levis. Levis also a quarterback that I mixed in some drafts early on because I thought he would have some rushing upside, and literally he's 15 rushing yards on the season. Back-to-back games now with less than 200 yards. Carr's just been banged up. Carr's just been the check down princess. Carr's also getting vultured touchdowns away from Taysom Hill. Derek Carr has played a considerable amount this season to only have 10 touchdowns. So if I was looking at these deals and trying to weigh the best one for us, I would say the best deal would be the Desmond Ridder trade. It's not one that I'm super excited about, but at least he's going to give you some rushing upside. And we are getting him at a much cheaper price point as well. Alex has just traded Pittman, Charbonnet for Bijan and Lockett. I like it. I like it a lot, my friend. The name I can never pronounce is, how do you feel about Diggs and White for Chase and Bijan? So Chase to Diggs, clear upgrade. White to Bijan, give me Bijan. Or Diggs for Chase and Spears. I would way rather have the Diggs side on that one. I mean, if we could trade Chase and Spears and go get Stephon Diggs, that's a no-brainer. The Diggs and White versus Chase and Bijan, that one's a little bit tougher. I mean, in general, I probably want the Diggs side. Tyler says, 12-team double flex. We have Mahomes, Jacobs, Javonte, Keenan, Diggs, Kelsey, Waddle, Olave. Charbonnet, Connor, Higgins, Watson, Chandler. Just traded Montgomery and Smith for Diggs and Charbonnet. What are your thoughts And what do we do to set up for the playoffs? Double flex league, that's going to matter a little bit more, but honestly, good move nonetheless. Trying to think of what we can do here. I mean, essentially what we did is we sold a little bit of our depth, right, to go out there and get that stud. Very well-balanced team. We have the elite quarterback tight end stack. Hopefully Mahomes starts producing a little bit more. We have enough depth as well. We're not going to get a ton of value for these guys at the bottom end, though. Honestly, my friend, I think it's a good move. I think you put yourself in a great position as is. And in a double flex format, probably not going to be doing too much from here. Now, Nightmare says 7-4. 10-team non-PPR single flex. Lamar, Pollard, Brees, Evans, St. Brown, Laporta, Gibbs. The bench is Murray, Puka, Rice, Chuba, Deontay. Lost mark, trade deadline is passed. What moves are we looking to make? So non-PPR format, running back's going to matter a little bit more here, of course. It would have been nice if we could have sold the quarterback to go get that tight ends. I don't think we really need to do much. While it does suck to lose Andrews, we have Laporta to slide in as well. I don't like how many wide receivers we are rostering here in comparison to running back for a non-PPR format. I'd probably rather have an extra running back or two. But if our trade deadline's already passed, it's not like, I mean, the thing is we can't drop one of these wide receivers. These wide receivers are good enough. They have enough value where we are looking to hold on to them, right? So just say going forward, I would definitely prioritize picking up running backs off the waiver wire in a non-PPR format with this kind of wide receiver depth. Michael says we clinched the playoffs, Superflex League. We lost Burrow, Daniel Jones, Baker, Saquon, Kyron, Singletary, Charbonnet, AJ, Nico, Kittle, Kirk, London, Flowers, Downs. Trade Saquon, Kittle for Goff, Laporta, or trade for a cheap quarterback like Geno or Levis. So, I mean, obviously, super tough spot here. If you're going from Kittle to Laporta, probably a slight downgrade. Going from Saquon to Goff. Superflex League, I understand the thought process. Goff does have a cap ceiling overall, though. I would try to find a better price point if we can. I understand quarterback's going to be almost impossible to find off waivers. And the issue with quarterback in a Superflex League, right, is you can go through and you can find a running back off the waiver wire that's a bum. And you can go through and play him if he steps into the starting job. However, quarterback's not going to work that way. So, I mean, even if like Daniel Jones goes down, it's not like you can go pick up DeVito and start DeVito every week. I think you're probably going to go ahead and make the Goff deal if that's the best one you could get. I would definitely try to find a better quarterback if we can, though. Flock Soldier says, hook 'em. Happy BR. Who am I starting this week? I need a running back, a wide receiver, and a flex. Swift, Montgomery, Gus, Ridley, Hopkins. Thank you forever and all your hard work, man. No, thank you so much. We're definitely going to go with both running backs and Swift and Montgomery at RB in the flex. If we were looking at wide receiver, DeAndre Hopkins may be a little bit tougher to start over Ridley based off the splits that you have with Ridley with and without Zay Jones. I know that's what everybody wants to look at. I'm not 100% sold that that's the reason why. Like, I don't necessarily know if we can go through and say, oh, okay, yeah, just because Calvin Ridley's been great in weeks where I'm not solely bought in on Calvin Ridley yet. I still think we probably go Ridley, though. Now, D. Larso says 12-team Superflex Dynasty tight end premium. I'm sorry, 2 tight ends, triple flex. We have Lawrence, Bijan, Brees, Etienne, Gibbs, Javonte, A.J. Brown, Puka, Pitts, Geno. Ford, London, Nico, Noah Brown, Roshan, Burks, Fant, Chig, Watson and Jefferson on the IR. We have the 101 and our own first. I don't know what you're doing wrong, my friend. I mean, especially with this being a 12-team league as well, I would say that we're probably not packing it in just yet. I mean, if the 1.5 point swing dropped us down to 10th place, I'd imagine it wouldn't be too hard to move up over the next 3 weeks. Really hope that we get Justin Jefferson back in for 1 or 2 of these, right? I think that you've already put yourself in a very good position. Hopefully, Geno Smith is good to go. And I don't think that this is a team that needs to pack it in and play for next year. I think you can still see what happens. Jacob says 7-4, tied for first in a PPR. We have Dobbs, Bijan, Swift, Metcalf, Pittman, Pitts, Henry, Higgins, Myers, Gabe Davis, Goff, Goddard. What type of package should we make it to buy Jefferson? His owner's in last. Thanks for the content. Thank you. I would love to just offer him Metcalf straight up. Go, man, you need a wide receiver that's going to play right now. Jefferson may not play over the next 2 weeks. I mean, we know he's not playing 2 weeks from a bye. So, I mean, I would see if we could send him, say, Metcalf straight up. Well, that maybe puts us in a little bit of a compromising position in the short term. In the long term, if we get Jefferson in for the playoffs, it just does make this team a lot better. Zach says 8-team league, full PPR, started 5-0, currently 7-4. Hurts, CMC, Etienne, Amon-Ra, Diggs, Andrews, Tank at the flex. Amari, Higgins, Saquon, Sam Howell, Ferguson, and McBride on the bench. We need a tight end. Just start Trey McBride. He'll be fine. I know that's not a lot. It's not exciting. 8-team league, if you really wanted to send, like, say, Saquon and McBride and go try to get Kelsey, I think you could do that. Eno says Dell, Singletary to Puka good, even with a healthy Cup. It's probably hard to go through and sell Dell just with how good CJ Stroud's been. I mean, while maybe I don't believe that Tank Dell is a top 16 wide receiver in the NFL, from a fantasy football perspective, with how damn good CJ, which is my entire point, CJ Stroud's playing MVP level football. He's number 1 in the NFL in passing yards per game. It's hard to get away from that. Like, when your quarterback's number 1 in the NFL in passing yards per game, we kind of want the wide receiver 1 in that offense. Now, Angel says, love the videos. Thank you. 8-3, 2 quarterback, 14-team, happy BR league. We have 2 in Hurts, Adams, Deontay Reed, Connor, Gus, trading Walker, Charbonnet, Kyler for Swift, Pittman, Moss. What are your thoughts? So 8-3, we're looking long-term. 14-team league, that's going to matter a little bit more. Walker to Swift, give me Swift. Kyler to Pittman and Moss, massive downgrade. I understand that we have the great quarterback play, but in a 14-team league, when it is impossible to find quarterbacks off the waiver wire, I think that you'd be in a much better position to just go ahead and try to find a better price for Kyler Murray. It's a 14-team Superflex format. What else are they going to do at quarterback? I don't think you need to pay nearly that much. Big Body Bird says, Titans Kincaid, RB2 is Najee. Trade Pitts for Zach Charbonnet. Hell yeah. I mean, Kyle Pitts is legitimately zero value at this point, right? I mean, it's hard to say he doesn't. Now, Repulse says, full BBR, Dak, Mostert, White, Lamb, Jefferson, Kincaid, Brian Robinson, and then on the bench, H.N. Goff, Boyd, Collins, McLaurin. Should we trade for a tier 1 running back or hold off? I would say hold off. I probably do want to change what we're doing down there at the bottom end of this team, where I would rather roster an extra running back off waivers and see if we can find like the next Zach Charbonnet, right? So I mean, I would go ahead and I would drop Tyler Boyd now that we have the Burrow injury. AJ says, traded Tyreek for Jefferson in Dynasty. Beautiful. Win for the playoff schedule, some youth. No, in a Dynasty, it's Jefferson by a mile, my friend. That's easy. John says we traded Saquon and CMC for Bijan, JT, and Diggs. CMC, I rank Jonathan Taylor as the RB2 this week, just to let you know. With that being said, you'd rather have CMC over JT by a mile. Say JT and Diggs versus CMC. I don't know. Saquon versus Bijan, I don't know. If it is a like 14-team, 16-team format, I think it's a good deal. If it's like a league where you start 3 wide receivers and 2 flexes, I think it's a good deal. My only hesitation is if it's like a 10-team league where you start 2 wide receivers and 1 flex. I mean, there I almost don't even care the price point. I'm just not selling Christian McCaffrey. Mark says, thinking about trading for Devontae Adams, giving Mahomes and Olave, but his schedule, no, do not do this. Paying way too much there, my friend. Danny says 12-team PPR, 3 wide receivers, and a flex. We have Goff, Carr, Etienne, Eckler, Kyron, Singletary, Brown, Evans, Nico, Amari, Deontay, Shaheed, Auden, and Jonnu. Any trades? Now that we're getting Kyron back in, I mean, I'd love to see if we can go through and sell Singletary and Goff and get an elite, not an elite level quarterback. Go get an upgraded quarterback. Go get someone who's going to run the ball like Kyler. Or Singletary and Auden, and go get a tight end that we're excited about like Kincaid, like Laporta. I'd love to do either one of those. Connor says trade Eckler and Garrett Wilson for Amon-Ra, Jacobs, Deontay. So Eckler to Amon-Ra. Give me Amon-Ra at this point. Garrett Wilson to Jacobs. I think you make this move if you really wanted to. Like Eckler's just not really seeing the receiving volume that you need him to without it's kind of crazy because you would assume that with how bad Quentin Johnston is, with the injury to Mike Williams, well, that he would have the receiving volume. It's just not there. I'm Johnny Day says full BBR to flex, Schultz, Ford, or Douglas. If we have Noah Brown back in, probably going to go Jerome Ford. Funky B Money says 8-team full BBR. We have Hurts, JT, Eckler, AJ Brown, Diggs, Laporta, and either Etienne, Cup, or Brees. Are you worried about anyone in any trades we can make? 8-team league, I would say if you really wanted to go out there and sell Brees and Laporta and see if you could pivot over to like Kelsey, we would, with it being an 8-team format. But honestly, no, great team. Peyton says, is it time to go up Cup and deadline is, I don't know what that means. But with Cooper Kupp, we made a video about him earlier today. I think you have real reasons to be concerned, but at the same time, I think you have real things you can make excuses for, right? Where he's been horrendous over the past 4 weeks, but 3 of the past 4, either Stafford got hurt or Kupp got hurt. Theo says 12-team app BBR, triple flex. Already clinched the playoffs. We have Herbert, Javonte, Jefferson, Waddle, Lockett, Puka, Brees, Los Andrews. Trade for a tight end, question mark. I mean, if you don't have to start a tight end, we don't trade for a tight end. I mean, if you were looking to go through and sell someone here for a tight end, probably that sell would be Javonte. I mean, if you only have to start one running back, then you're going to get a considerable amount of value for him, and just this offense can't move the ball down the field. So if you wanted to go like Javonte for Kincaid, Javonte for Laporta, you could do that. You can try for it, obviously. I mean, we don't know if it's going to get accepted. Fruit Blob says 18 PBR, 5-5, 4th place. Allen, Tua, Gibbs, Robinson, Kyron, Walker, Charbonnet, Etienne, Diggs, Waddle, Metcalf, Flowers, Kelsey. Who should we try to get? Long term, I think that we would look to sell, say, Brian Robinson. I mean, especially with the Burrow injury, if you could send Tua and Brian Robinson and go pivot over to a more reliable low-end running back 1, mid running back 1 here, that could be something we look to do. I'd say the same thing about selling Kenneth Walker when we had Walkers that sell I got last week based off it being a PPR format, him not having a role as a receiver, but obviously it'd be much tougher to do now with the injury. Now, Jovi says, PPR, would you trade Lamar, Amari, Hollywood for Jefferson? We still have Stroud, Hill, Ayuk, and Addison. Eight-team league, sure. The issue is, if you're looking at Jefferson, right? Getting the report that he may not play this week. They have the bye week next week, so it does make sense. If you wait this long, might as well just wait an extra one. They have nothing really to play for. So it's a very frustrating spot if you have Jefferson. Lane says, Swift giving me my win tonight to clinch the playoffs. Go Birds. Have a good stream, brother. Happy for you, my man. And thank you so much for being a long-time member of the flock. Logan says, 12-team at BBR, double flex, 7-4, tied for first. We have Purdy, Saquon, Montgomery, A.J. Brown, Amari, Ferguson, Brees, Godwin. And then on the bench, Fields, Dobbs, Addison, Spears, Johnston, McBride, Keaton. Looking for a quarterback for Garrett Wilson, Debo, or Dell. What are your thoughts? Double flex format, I'd say quarterback's going to matter just a little bit less. Purdy does seem like a fine option. I mean, you have Fields as well. No, I don't think you need a quarterback. Start Fields. Fields gives you the rushing upside. Purdy gives you the security. I mean, I don't necessarily think you need to do that at all, especially in a double flex league. Oh, no, you're going to be trading a quarterback. Okay, never mind. I misread this. Yeah, I mean, if you wanted to go through and sell Purdy for any of those wide receivers, you can, to be honest. If you have Justin Fields, I mean, even though I'm not a massive Fields guy, in terms from a real life perspective, fantasy, obviously, if he's going to give you the rushing upside, you like him. Now, Appa says, have BBR 12-team league. Trade Mahomes, Debo, Ramadre for Lamar and Lamb. Oh, we're going to Lamb here. Give me Lamb. Now the team's Lamar, Lamb, Puka, Kupp, Gibbs, Kyron, Charbonnet, Singletary, and the Cleveland defense. I like the team. The one thing is, it is going to be interesting to see what does the role look like for Devin Singletary if Dameon Pierce comes back in, right? Because if we have Pierce back in, is it all of a sudden a running back by committee here? Even if Singletary is the top guy, I don't know how excited you are about it. Now, Joe says 4-7, 10-team BBR. Mahomes, Pollard, Bijan, Olave, Puka, Kelsey, Hopkins, Higgins, Downs, Connor. No deadline. Any recommendations? I'm just trying not to get the last place punishment. Okay, my friend, that is scary. You have a very well-balanced team. If we could go on a time machine and if I could say, well, man, you know what? It's probably a spot where we want to go through and I don't know. We want to sell T. Higgins, but it's obviously much tougher said. I mean, much tougher done than actually said. Said than done. Tomato, tomato. You know what I mean. You know what I mean. I think it's a well-balanced format. We have the elite quarterback, the elite tight ends. We have running backs with safe workloads. We have wide receivers with upside. If we could sell Higgins in a package with an upgrade elsewhere with the Burrow injury, we would. But we're just probably not going to be able to at this point. Now, Captain Swanky Pants says, bomb to trade today on purpose. 10-team Superflex PPR. Burrow tank out. Cousins JT in. Starters are Tua, Wilson, CMC, JT, Hill, Adams. I mean, obviously, you are in a position to win now, but still, horrible deal. You'd rather a Burrow. Reaper says, full BBR 10-team league. Josh, CMC, Montgomery, A.J. Brown, Jamar, McBride, Keenan, and Gus. 7-4, second seed. Full BBR format, I hate to say it, but I still stand by the fact that I personally am going to go through and sell Gus Edwards. I mean, if I'm looking at Edwards, yes, he's at the very top of the NFL in rushing touchdowns, yada, yada, yada. The reality of the situation is, okay, he's averaging like 1 target a game, if that. He's actually slightly less than a target a game so far this season. So, I don't know. If we were looking to sell someone here, it would be Gus Bus. Now, Beggett says we have Chase. Give him an Olave for Tyreek. Oh, yeah. Go get Tyreek there easily. Flock Soldier says full BBR start 3. Kirk, Ridley, Hopkins, Waddle. I think if we had to bench someone here, it probably will be DeAndre Hopkins with how bad the offense looks. Mark says, thanks, Big Floggo. Just denied the Adams trade. Thanks for the advice. Appreciate you, my friend. Really hope that you have a great day. Alec, welcome to the flock. Happy to have you. Big boy, thank you for the donation. Captain Swanky Pants, welcome to the flock. Collins saying, full BBR 11-0 in our 12-team league. We have Hurts, CMC, Alvin, Amon-Ra, Keenan, Schultzer, Madre, Kyler, Brandon Cooks, Rashee Rice, Addison, Najee, and Dylan. Any traits? I mean, if you have Kyler and Jalen Hurts, if you wanted to send Kyler and Ramondre Stevenson and see if we can go get an elite RB for the flex from that team that lost Joe Burrow, that could be something that we look at, right? I mean, I'd really like to make that move if we can. Peyton says, I was meaning to say I give up on Cup. Okay, I'm not going to blame you for that, my friend. Not going to blame you for that. Now, Alex says 12-team full BBR. Trade Hurts and Nico for Keenan. We have Purdy, CMC, Hall, HN, Herbert, Cup, DJ, London, Laporta, and McBride. You can if you would want. I mean, I would try to trade like Purdy and Cup before I would do Hurts and Nico. Hurts still gives you the elite level rushing upside every single week, right? So that's my only hesitation with it. And Chi Chong says traded away Puka, Kittle, Walker for Allen Boyd. What do you think? We have Lamar, Diggs, Jacobs, HN, Kyron, Kincaid. Having second thoughts about keeping Kincaid. So Puka to Allen. Give me Allen. We essentially paid Walker to get it done. I'm okay with it if this is a team where we needed the points right now, right? If we needed the points now. Jonas says Brees for Olave 4 and 7. I'll probably go Brees even with how bad the offense is. I mean, the offense has been horrendous all season now, right? Now, I think that should be it for this live stream, ladies and gentlemen. If you enjoyed it, please go down there, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you play fantasy football. And of course, if you want to check out any of those pick'ems for Underdog Fantasy this week, they're going to have a couple specials on Thanksgiving for everybody. You can find that link in the live chat description comment section. Promo code FLOCK, 100% deposit match, plus our rest of season rankings and tiers. And on top of that, ladies and gentlemen, the CMC special pick'em more than less than half a total yard as well. But thank you. I really do appreciate you. Really hope you have a great night, and really hope we get to see you out with the live stream tomorrow night.